Welcome, everyone. My name is Peter Trapa. I'm the former Dean of the College of Science, and now I'm Vice Provost and Senior Dean here at the University of Utah. And on behalf of the entire university, I'm delighted to welcome all of you here today. We are gathered in the Ed and Marilyn Zipser atrium here to celebrate the grand opening, the ribbon cutting of the Skaggs Applied Science Building, together with the renovation of the historic William Stewart Building, the existing Crocker Science Center, and the beautiful outdoor new Crocker Science Plaza. Together, those all complete the nearly 300,000 square foot Crocker Science Complex. It is truly a momentous day for science at the University of Utah. Before we get to the rest of the program, I want to acknowledge a few members of the audience here and say a few words, beginning with those on stage here. I'm joined by Governor Spencer Cox, and Governor Cox, through championing investment in high-demand academic programs and fostering collaboration between industry and academia, he has ensured that the state of Utah maintains its national leadership in science, technology, education, always with a view towards prosperity for future generations of Utahns. We're also joined by President Henry B. Eyring from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was almost 80 years ago, in 1946, when President Eyring's father, the renowned, brilliant scientist Henry Eyring, relocated his family from Princeton University to the U and set science on the U on this remarkable trajectory that still is accelerating today. And it's altogether fitting that we both honor the legacy of Henry Eyring as we seek to extend it in these beautiful new spaces. And it's also appropriate that President Eyring is here today with us because he's one of the most distinguished alums of the physics department. And these new buildings, these new spaces will house both the Physics and Astronomy Department, the Departments of Atmospheric Science, and also the Wilkes Center for Climate Science and Policy. President Taylor Randall, in just a few short years at the helm, President Randall's visionary leadership, together with his unwavering commitment to projects like this, has positioned the University of Utah to become a top 10 public institution with unsurpassed societal impact. Truly, the University of Utah for Utah. Joined also by Mark Skaggs, representing the Skaggs family and the ALSAM Foundation, without whom the Skaggs Applied Science Building would simply not exist today. The Skaggs family's legacy is felt in many places in our communities, locally and regionally, but perhaps no more so than here on this campus. In addition to this building, there's the nearby Aline Skaggs Biology Building. The College of Pharmacy bears the Skaggs name in many different venues, among much else. So grateful for your incredible support, Mark. Gary and Ann Crocker. It is no exaggeration to say that without the decades-long vision, without the extraordinary generosity of Gary and Ann, the Crocker Science Complex never would have been conceived as something even feasible, let alone realized. And yet, here we are today, celebrating its opening. Thank you, Gary and Ann, for your personal friendship to me, to the college, to the university. You have truly transformed the future of science at the University of Utah. And Dean Pearl Sandick, Dean of the College of Science, a visionary scientific leader, physicist by training. She is leading scientific research and education in entirely innovative and new directions all across campus. An inspiring leader and a very inspired one. Lucky to have her in our midst today as well. So, in addition to those on stage today, there are many distinguished people in the audience that I want to name. We are joined by Senior Vice President Mitzi Montoya. There may be Trustee Steve Price roaming around, possibly. We also have Vice Presidents Aaron Rothwell and Jason Perry. My dear friend and collaborator from the genesis of this project, Dean Darrell Butt, is here today. I look around and I see Dinesh Patel. I see members of the board of the Sorensen Legacy Foundation. Of course, the Willard L. Eccles Foundation, represented by Steve Dankers and his family here in the front row. Don and Rebecca Reese. We have the Tang family, Thomas, Bonnie and Grace Tang, James and Amy Zhao, Sid and Mimi Green, many, many people who came together, and I encourage you to look at that impressive donor wall behind you and see that we can accomplish really extraordinary things when we come together. Of course, the biggest partner in all of this has been the state of Utah itself, through a really remarkable historic legislative appropriation, one of the largest in the history of appropriations to higher education projects, jump-started this building project. And it's really that. It's this partnership between public investment and private philanthropic investment, as we've accomplished in the Crocker Science Complex and the Skaggs Applied Science Building. It's that partnership that has enabled us to continue to invest in scientific innovation, which then translates into commercialization, job creation, and ultimately economic stability for thousands of Utahns and their families. And at the same time, we are a beacon, a magnet for worldwide talent, world-class talent that comes to Utah and stays in Utah. And no more is that evidence than the incredible collection of faculty from the departments of physics and astronomy and atmospheric science that's concentrated in this auditorium today. So it's the consequent prosperity generated by that investment, which in turn makes future investment possible, both public and private, that fuels a cycle that benefits the citizens of Utah many times over. That really is a manifestation of the Utah way. And it's not an abstract, theoretical principle. Those of us who've been around long enough have seen it in action for decades. And in many ways, it's the investments of the past and the fruits of that cycle that allow us to be here celebrating today. You know, I've been at the U for more than 25 years, and seldom have I felt a moment of such authentic optimism. And I'm so privileged and grateful to be sharing it with all of you today in this beautiful space on this dazzling day. And on that note, I think I will turn it over to our distinguished governor, Spencer Cox.
Thank you, Peter, for those kind words, that great introduction. And ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be here with you today with so many distinguished Utahns and those who are visiting us from other places. I have some prepared remarks. I may deviate just a little bit from those. I hope that's appropriate. I'm honored to represent the state of Utah, to represent the legislature, to celebrate this incredible investment. To those of you who have helped participate in this investment, thank you for your generosity. We are so fortunate to have people like the Crockers who are continually giving back and making Utah a better place. They do it monetarily, of course, which allows us to build beautiful facilities like this for the next generation, but they do it just in the way that they treat their neighbors, their friends, and the people that they associate with. They are good people and good for our state, and we're grateful for them. The Skaggs family, everyone else who is here, the Eyrings, the Huntsmans, the Eccles, all of you who give back to this state, whether you have billions of dollars or whether you just take care of your neighbors, all of it matters, and it's important to who we are. It's an honor to stand in this atrium today and talk about the brick and mortar spaces that lead to boundless opportunities and possibilities of discovery, innovation, and education. This building represents Utah's bold investment in the future, a future driven by research, technology, and the next generation of thinkers and doers. The classrooms and labs that are here will ignite curiosity, a characteristic that is sadly missing from far too much of our public discourse these days. The students and faculties who walk these halls will challenge assumptions, they will pursue breakthroughs, and they will tackle the big questions of our time, from spinatronics to astronomy to the quality of Utah's snow, and making sure that we have enough snow for us to continue as a state. We know that the science doesn't just happen in a vacuum, except I'm told that the particle physics actually do happen in a vacuum, and I don't understand any of that, but I'm hoping, Dean Sandick, you can help me a little later to explain that to me after the program. Science thrives where collaboration, creativity, and commitment come together. This facility was built with that spirit, and with a strong partnership between state leadership, the university, and our local communities. Those same values that we use to teach in science correlate perfectly to how we do things here in Utah. Collaboration and creativity with a commitment to putting the greater good in the forefront and always seeking truth. Now let's be clear. When we invest in science, we invest in people. Students who will become researchers, engineers, and entrepreneurs, in faculty whose work will shape lives and policy, and in innovations that will drive our economy and improve our world. So thank you again to the donors, the construction teams, the academic leaders, faculty, and staff who made all of this possible. I especially want to thank President Randall, who is a dear friend, and I will just tell you, as I've traveled the country, I've met with most of the academic leaders in this country at the highest level, and I will tell you that we have the best university president anywhere in the United States right now, right here at the University of Utah. And this is where I will deviate a little bit. It's an interesting time in academia. It's an interesting time for higher education. It's an interesting time for science and technology research in our country. And I want to just make it clear that the state of Utah is doubling down on research, doubling down on science. I probably shouldn't use gambling terms, but we are... We care deeply about what happens here, that pursuit of truth, that pursuit of knowledge. There's a big debate happening in our country around this idea of abundance and what that actually means. Sadly, the politics of the day keep presenting us with a zero-sum game, with false choices that we have to choose in ways that are not helpful. And you're seeing that play out certainly at the national level. We're seeing some of that at the state level, but we continue to push back because I truly believe that, as my friend Adam Grant says, that we need to all be thinking more like scientists. We need to be seeking truth, that we need to be curious about the world around us, about the people around us, and about how to solve the biggest problems of the day. And most of the answers that we are being presented from a political level are zero-sum answers. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. I reject that, and we reject that today. By investing in science and innovation, we are telling the world that that is not an option, that we don't have to choose between winners and losers, that we can find real answers to our problems that benefit everyone. And it's going to happen right here in these halls. I know that because it's happened in this building and buildings like it all around the state for generations. Utah was just named for the third year in a row the best state in the country. There are over 1,000 different data points that led to that ranking. While we're all very proud of that, I can't take any credit for that because the things that we are doing, the innovations that have changed the state of Utah, happened because investments like this 50 years ago, 25 years ago, 150 years ago, and indeed 250 years ago when those words were written on paper, 249 years ago. We're 1 year away as we start to celebrate that 250th year that we have certain truths that are self-evident. And among those are that we have unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And as I've said many times, the pursuit of happiness was never about the pursuit of what makes you feel good. The pursuit of happiness was about self-improvement and making ourselves and the world around us a better place. It was indeed a scientific type of improvement, finding truth, sharing that truth, and making the world around us better. And that's what we're here to celebrate today. And so at a time when the federal government is cutting back on funding for scientific initiatives, which I think is a mistake, Utah is saying the exact opposite, that we can do both of those things. We can be fiscally responsible and we can invest. In fact, it is fiscal responsibility that requires us to invest in the future. Otherwise, all of those good things that we enjoy today will be gone. We have to invest in the next generations. And I'm grateful that we have private partners, public partners that are willing to join us in this quest. The answers to our problems will be solved here. I will conclude with this. Gary Crocker said this is an important addition to our state, and he is absolutely right. I just replied that this is an important addition to the United States and an important addition to the world. We're not just solving Utah's problems anymore. We're solving the world's problems, and we're doing it right here. God bless you in this work. Please keep it up. Thank you.
you think that'll work? It's science. I am grateful for the invitation to express personal appreciation today. First, I am grateful for a father who urged, I think that's not strong enough, really urged, that each of his 3 sons start their preparation for life in the study of physics and mathematics at this university. He said that we would need that foundation to be effective in the rapidly changing world he saw for us. For me, his prophecy began to be fulfilled 2 weeks after receiving my bachelor's degree in physics and being commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant in the United States Air Force. When I arrived at Sandick Base in Albuquerque, I had to wait to begin my training as a special weapons officer until my top secret clearance came through. I'm embarrassed to say that in that time I was waiting to start my training, I spent a good deal of time working on my suntan at the officers. That's an aside. When I arrived, I waited for that, what I thought would be a kind of training that would make a difference. I had no idea how much it would make a difference. I got a phone call to ask if I would go to the office of the headquarters commander of the Armed Forces Special Weapons Project. I walked in completely unaware. How would they know I was even there? I was told that a senior officer had suffered a heart attack and that I was to take his place. The only information they had about me was that I had graduated from the University of Utah 2 weeks earlier. In the 2 years I served in that assignment, I saw my father's promise fulfilled as I found myself able to resolve problems and make judgments which had the potential to affect the lives of people and nations across the world. That same blessing of having insights into complex physical problems marked years at Harvard. Again, later as a faculty fellow at MIT, and in years at Stanford, where a physics and math major from Princeton and I created a course at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Even in my service in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I was given the opportunity to oversee the development of the worldwide Family Search computer-based program. That seems to me a touching part of the fulfillment of my father's promise to his sons. Second, I am grateful for the dozens of mentors here who gave me patient encouragement as I struggled as a student to visualize with mathematics the physical world from the tiniest particle to the vastness of the universe. I can't resist saying that Dr. Elsasser, who only you old enough to remember who I meant, Dr. Elsasser, once was looking over one of my papers and said, you know, Mr. Eyring, I don't think you can see the curl of a vector. It had never occurred to me that a vector was something you could see. I realize now that it is true that teachers can help us to see the vastness of the physical world and the beauty of understanding it and the power that it gives us. I am grateful for teachers who strengthened my confidence that there is order in the physical world, who have made possible the design and construction of this center of learning, with its focus on enhanced student experiences. Students and teachers here will be better and will lead better and more productive lives because of what you have created. My hope is that those who study here may follow your example to use whatever powers and resources they gain to lift and to bless others in future generations. Thank you for allowing me to share this day of hope and gratitude.
Thank you, President Eyring. What a remarkable day for science. I wonder if you'd allow me just a moment of personal privilege. Dean Trapa has an incredible wife and two remarkable sons, one of whom, Henry, where are you, Henry? Henry, you stand up. It's Henry's birthday today. What? Thank you, Henry. What 12-year-old would show up at his dad's event on his birthday is all I can say. Dean Trapa, thank you for shepherding this project. Governor Cox, not only a great day for science at the University of Utah, but science in the state for the incredible announcement that they're doubling down. Thank you very, very, very much. We appreciate that. I'll use the gambling terminology. President Eyring, thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about some history, and your father certainly had a big part of that. So if I could leave you, I'm going to leave you three messages today, referring to a bit of history, because it is the 175th anniversary of the University of Utah. There were three original professors at this university in 1950. Cyrus Collins, who leaned science, W.W. Phelps, who I hear leaned humanities, and Orson Pratt, who was brought in to teach math, physics, and the rest of everything that Mr. Collins couldn't teach. I think it is notable that a set of individuals who came here to this valley based on faith immediately made an investment in science, because they realized that the trade-offs that they faced in building an economy, in building in a productive society, really depended on understanding the natural world around them, the universe around them, and understanding how to use that for the benefit of humankind. So message number one to you today is this is an incredible building that will allow us, as the governor has said, to get rid of false trade-offs, that will allow us to move human progress forward. Second, a little bit of history. The very first PhD student that came to the College of Science was a gentleman by the name of Tracy Hall, who studied under Dr. Henry Eyring. Dr. Tracy Hall came with a dream. He wanted to work at the GE research labs, which he of course did. He later left the GE research labs and then became, I would say, the chair of one of the departments down at Brigham Young University. They needed science too. But one of the remarkable things that occurred to Dr. Hall while he was here is he learned how to manipulate remarkable forces. And in fact, those of you that, you do not have to admit this today, that are wearing synthetic diamonds, that is actually all attributed to Dr. Hall. I myself usually wear synthetic diamonds. It's a matter of economics for me, and none of you can tell the difference. But I will tell you, if you look at those simple labs, right, that were started early by Dr. Eyring, I have traveled now the globe, and from that single lab of Dr. Eyring's, I have seen leaders of technology and science in South Korea, among other countries, right? First and foremost, this building will be about creating human capacity for the future. And the stories that we tell today of decades ago now are walking these halls. So it's remarkable. Number 3, and let's not forget this is actually a place where students' dreams will happen. Whether they are undergraduates or graduate students, they will happen here. And many of the individuals that enter applied areas later on will begin in this college with physics and mathematics. Let me name just a few of them. Bill Gore, Gore-Tex, chemistry. John Warnock, graphics, mathematics. Alan Ashton, physics. David Evans, physics and astronomy. All of those individuals, right, came through here with dreams to create something new. In 1953, a gentleman by the name of Don Lind graduated with a degree in physics. He was interviewed at the end of his career, asking him, where did your astrophysics dreams begin? They said, they began when I was 6 years old, growing up in Midvale, Utah, looking at Flash Gordon comics. Don Lind came to the University of Utah, got a degree in physics with the dream of going into space. And in fact, he ended up doing all of that. He went on from the University of Utah to become a pilot. He went on from becoming a pilot to get PhDs from the University of California, Berkeley. He came here to achieve a dream. All of those individuals I mentioned came here with dreams of accomplishing something in the world that had to do with science. Today, this college leads the country with its science research initiative. What does that mean? It means that freshmen, over 700, start in the lab's very first thing on projects that actually have real-world application. And then if they stay with it to the end, they get to work with our biotech industry, performing experiments that will lead them on to those great, great things. This is a place where dreams will come true. Now, we care deeply about the prosperity of this state and its citizenry. The system of higher education as a whole has doubled the number of STEM graduates in the last decade. This building itself will allow us to do our part again. We graduate over 50% of the STEM graduates at the undergraduate level, and we graduate over 75% of the graduate students in STEM here at this university. This is an investment in Utah's future. You're going to have fun today looking at all these labs, and I appreciate all of the donors, to the Crockers, the Skaggs, and all of you that are here making all of this possible. It's going to be fun. I will tell you, make sure you go to the basement. Usually I don't tell you to go to the basement of the building. Because down there, they harness cosmic energy. Now, up until this point, I just thought it was a 1960s rock band. But man, it is cool. Thank you very much for being here today. Let's look forward to the future of science.
Well, Ann and I were reflecting as we were coming over to this event that this wonderful ribbon cutting today of this beautiful new landmark Skaggs Applied Science Building marks the culmination of a nearly 30-year process of partnership and collaboration with this Center of Excellence, which is the College of Science. And I are grateful for that association. Grateful for that collaboration, and grateful for the privilege we've had of watching this project become more than just a dream, but a reality. During those, by the way, a 30-year gestation is quite a process. It's quite a challenge to go through a 30-year gestation. During those decades, we as a state, I think, have been almost uniquely blessed with an extraordinary series of just exceptional governors. And in particular, I want to thank and acknowledge the leadership and the vision and the persistence and the advocacy of Governor Cox. Has just been exceptional what he's been able to do with the state legislature in making this complex a reality. And I think we all ought to put aside partisan politics and thank him today. He's a man not only of vision and leadership, but in really integrity in a difficult job, and we're grateful for him. And President Eyring, if it weren't for your family and for your father's personal sacrifices years ago in the 1940s to initiate graduate education here at this university in science, it's a virtual certainty that none of us would be here today celebrating this new complex. We acknowledge that sacrifice, we acknowledge that leadership, and we acknowledge your contribution. I also want to highlight the fact that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was the first and the most substantive of the matching donors to complement our original personal leadership gift for this Crocker Science Center and Crocker Science Complex. And the pivotal difference that made, and that the LDS Church makes in our community, is literally impossible to measure. And its impact ripples through lives worldwide. So thank you, President. Thank you. And what a joy it has been over these last 3 decades to work with a series of extraordinary presidents, the caliber of this man, Taylor Randall. It is just extraordinary to see their commitment to students, their commitment to seeing human growth realized, and their commitment to ensuring that this state remains a center of excellence in science worldwide. This is an investment to make sure that this College of Science remains the gem of the entire university system among all the colleges in the state, remains the gem of this state's university system. And we honor and acknowledge, Taylor, your advocacy, your friendship, your leadership, your exceptional managerial skills to get things done. We just want you to know what a wonderful privilege it is to work with you. Thank you. And during those 3 decades, what a pleasure it's been for Ann and I to work with 5 separate deans of the College of Science. In 1997, we received a phone call from a fellow by the name of Peter Stang. I didn't know Peter from the moon. Peter just called. He noticed in the newspaper that we had just sold our first medical device firm, a Research Medical, an open heart surgery device firm, to Baxter's Edwards Laboratories. And Peter was a very astute individual, he still is. And he said, hey, there's a science-based company that I really ought to make a partner in the College of Science. We ought to get involved with these folks here locally. And so he recruited Ann and I, and that journey began in 1997. And over the years, that resulted in 2002 in the Crocker Science House, which is over in Fort Douglas, where the honors students have a dormitory. And eventually, over the years, one of the subsequent deans and I were walking here on President's Circle, and We just happened to walk past the old Thomas building that was boarded up, literally boarded up. It was abandoned. It was no longer being used as a museum or a library. And I turned to Pierre and said, that's adjacent to everything else in the College of Science on campus here. We ought to grab that building. We ought to get that building. And that was in 2010, that was the genesis of this project. And I'm so glad that that building was boarded up, that we had that opportunity to make sure that we could catalyze this wonderful new science center. And it's been quite a ride. And I must say that in the most recent years, we've had the privilege of working with Peter Trapa. I have rarely met an individual who's a more compelling combination of just intellect, but also the capacity to get things done, to move projects forward, and a man of vision and integrity. It's just a pleasure to work with somebody like Peter. Thank you, Peter, for your leadership. So this entire process culminates today with the incredible final edition of this third building in the complex, this Skaggs Applied Science Building. And what a magnificent addition to the University of Utah this building is. I want all of you to know how profoundly grateful Ann and I are to the Skaggs family for making what was an extraordinarily generous gift to anchor this building and to make this final part of the complex a reality. This building is going to ripple through the lives of tens of thousands of students each year, not over decades, but each year, tens of thousands of students go through this complex. And they will become our future physicians and our future nurses and our future scientists and our future pharmacists and astronomers, environmental scientists. They will form the core of this state's industrial and commercial complex in the next 60 to 70 years. And all of that is due to the generosity of people like the extraordinary Skaggs Family Foundation. So we're so grateful, Mark, for that extraordinary gesture and that extraordinary gift. Thank you so much. So now with the completion of this new and completed integrated science complex, I think Utah, as the governor has said, is extraordinarily well positioned to be a leader not only in science-based research and education, but I think also very importantly, given the last 45 years of my life, we're well positioned as a state to be a leader nationally in science-based commercial innovation. And those are the jobs of the future. Those are the companies of the future. That's the economy of the future. And this investment, as the governor suggested, is fundamental and pivotal to that success going forward. Ann and I are grateful to have been a part of this adventure. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate being here today, and I want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about us, because most people have no idea who the ALSAM Foundation is, or what it does, or who started it, or so I will tell you that my dad worked extremely hard in the retail business for many, many years, was tremendously successful, focused all of his energies and times into giving back to the community. It must have rubbed off on me a little bit, because we got out of the business when I was 40 years old. And I was a divisional president in Tampa, Florida, running, when he called me and he said, well, I've got some bad news for you. He said, you're out of a job. So he said, it's time for you to do what you've always wanted to do. And I says, geez, Dad, I kind of thought I was doing what I always wanted to do. He said, no, no, no. He said, you've always wanted to go to law school. I said, I have. I stood in the circle with he and Mom the day I graduated from the University of Utah with my master's degree. He put his arm around me and he said, son, I'm real proud of you. He said, now let's talk about going to law school. And I didn't just say no. There was one word in front of that. So I'd gone to school here for 6 straight years, loved it, had a blast, don't get me wrong. But I didn't think after 6 years that I could put up with 3 more. So I forgot about that. Never thought about it again. 18 years later, I am back in school. I'm getting my law degree at the University of Tulsa. You know, you're pretty old at law school at 40. So I got stopped in the hall one day and someone said, oh, are you a professor here? I said, well, no, thanks for the flattery, but no, I'm a student here. So, but anyway, Dad worked hard and education meant everything to him. And education of people who were maybe not necessarily like we were, like well off, like most of us are. We built 2 high schools with our foundation. Most of you know the Skaggs Catholic Center, Juan Diego. We also built one down in San Diego. It's on the Ohio. Modern Day, yes. I knew I was looking for the Mesa. Anyway, that's like, what, 6 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles from the Mexican border. Half of the students that attend that K through 12 school come across the border every day who are not, not U.S. citizens at all. They live in Mexico, come across, and half of that half pay no tuition whatsoever. We fund those. Because my dad said, if we're ever going to integrate the world, specifically in those days talking about the Hispanic population that was coming to America, the key is education. He said, you can't have these people with the dream of being a landscaper, being a yard boy, working at McDonald's. He said the key is education. So he said, we will run this school. We will give everyone an opportunity to attend that school, whether they can pay or not, whether they're a U.S. citizen or not. And he said, that will be the key to success for these students. So we also have done a tremendous amount of work in medical research. One of our largest organizations we fund is a company on the Mesa in Torrey Pines called Caliber Skaggs. When Dad became ill, he decided to fund the Scripps Research Institute, which is what today is Caliber Skaggs, for medical research, and the initial gift was $100 million. And we launched the Skaggs School of Scholars down there, and most of those we funded. They had projects that the NIH would not fund. We funded them. And we have a laundry list I won't bore you with very successful drug discovery. So Dad was always absolutely convinced that this needed to happen. So most people, as I travel the country, most people say, well, who did you work for? So I said, well, we worked for the ALSAM Foundation. Who? He said, well, what? Who are they? Where are they? What do they do? So we're one of those quiet little foundations that are just big believers in this community and in this state and in this university. Counting the pharmacy building, we're rapidly approaching $170 million to this university. That's how much we believe it. We believe in this guy like I can't tell you right here. So, the Moran Eye Center, my sister's involvement with the College of Nursing, both pharmacy schools. Somebody's even got a classroom named after him in the business school. So, all the science programs here. We love this university. We believe in this university. Because you invited a lawyer to talk to you today, things are going to get less intense than they have been. So I'm afraid, I am actually afraid of where we're headed. Make America great again. Explain to me how we do that when we cut the NIH budget by half. When we close program after program after program at key universities, research programs. When if you're ever going to need serious medical help, you might have to go to Vietnam. You might have to go to Canada. You might have to go to Germany. This is not the way to make America great again. And I didn't come here today. My wife said, please don't talk about that. Please don't go down there and talk about that. And I said, well, okay, but I can't help it. Because we're all that passionate about where we're at. And thank God we live in a state where a governor and a legislature believe in that. I live in Idaho. They've almost shut Boise State down, the number of programs they've killed at Boise State. Now, I didn't come here today to offend anybody, but if you believe in what we believe in, what my mom and dad worked their whole lives for, what this man worked for, what Governor Cox and his legislature worked for here, you have to be offended with where we're headed. So anyway, on a lighter note, our foundation is winding down. We're at the 10-year anniversary of my mother's death. So we're sunsetting, and this was our last major gift, and it could not have been a better last gift. So thanks to this gentleman, the new dean we're so excited about. But anyway, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in what we believe in and what we've always believed in and what hopefully will be a brighter future in this country as far as research for all of these people. So anyway, thank you very much. Love being here. This is great. This is fantastic.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Pearl Sandick. I'm the interim dean of the College of Science, and I'm also a professor of physics and astronomy. And Governor Cox, I'd be happy to talk to you about particle physics anytime. Honored guests, I am incredibly excited about the new capabilities afforded by the research and educational infrastructure of the Skaggs Applied Science Building and the renovated William Stewart Building. Our programs in physics and astronomy and atmospheric sciences are internationally recognized in research and education, and they will now have the advantages of these modern facilities, making it possible for us to address scientific questions and societal challenges in new ways. This investment in science will serve us well. The breakthroughs emerging from physics and astronomy, atmospheric sciences, and from the work done by the Wilkes Center will help satisfy our innate curiosity, and they also drive new technologies, transform industries, and improve the lives of those in our community, across the state, and far beyond. In these buildings, researchers will work on advancing technologies related to quantum computers, room temperature superconductors, which will revolutionize modern electronics, air quality forecasting, the greatest snow on Earth. The work done here will directly affect energy, water resources, public health, natural disaster preparedness. These are areas essential to human well-being. Universities play a vital role in society as hubs of scientific research and discovery. Institutions like ours are where curiosity meets capacity, where ideas are explored, tested, and transformed into knowledge that shapes our world. The impact is felt often through the application, whether it's technology that grew out of research done on our campus, or data provided by the Wilkes Center to decision makers in the government and in industry, as well as the trajectories of the students who pass through these halls. Students are central to all of this. I see some of you up there. This state-of-the-art facility is going to provide them with new opportunities that'll help them identify their passions, learn new techniques in modern laboratories, work side by side with faculty, and prepare them for careers that are both rewarding and critical for our economy and national interests. The full impact of the investment in this space, in world-class research and teaching facilities, can't be known or quantified at this moment. But as you look around, it's easy to see that the technical infrastructure alone is transformational. It's also easy to see that this is a space that is going to inspire us all to dream bigger, think more broadly, and work together in new ways to advance scientific knowledge, develop technologies, address societal challenges, and cultivate generations to come of scientific thinkers and innovators. I am deeply grateful to everyone who has contributed to this project. Thank you once again to Ann and Gary Crocker, the ALSAM Foundation, the state of Utah, and to all the generous donors and supporters, including many of you who are in this room today. I'd also like to thank the University of Utah facilities team, the College of Science staff, and particularly Jim Muller. Where is Jim? Particularly Jim Muller, yes. Jim Muller, who has been dedicated to this project for years, and also Peter Trapa for his vision and leadership that was really central to making this project a reality. I also want to thank Oakland Construction and the team at EDA for their hard work to create these fantastic spaces. And lastly, thank you to the staff, faculty, and students of the Department of Physics and Astronomy, Department of Atmospheric Sciences, and the Wilkes Center for your engagement throughout this project and everything you've put into it as well. It is truly an honor to welcome you to your new homes. This building is more than the sum of its parts. It's a beacon of knowledge, opportunity, and hope. Already, it's a symbol of what we can accomplish when we work together. And it's one that holds the promise of a future of discovery, innovation, and impact. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. So without further ado, it is time to officially cut the ribbon on this new building.
Okay.
Come on.
Big scissors.
Very big scissors. They're very sharp, too.
Can I invite everybody out? Let's, where do you want to go? Can we? Hey, why don't y'all come, well, let's do it on this side. Let's all move over this. Pearl, you guys get in there.
You got the top, I got the bottom. All right.
Wait a sec. Let's get President Eyring over here. All right, here we go.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Whoa.
This is a dream come true. It was so great.
Congratulations.
you like me to take the scissors? All right, I now invite you to discover this amazing space for yourselves. You each have a list of spaces in the building and the various levels. You can start wherever you want. Many of the spots on this map, or the spots listed in the program, have refreshment stations. You can start anywhere. And we have student ambassadors around the buildings to help you find your way and direct you to various things, and also to share some nice bits of history about the buildings and their construction. For our friends in the media, some of our speakers are going to be available for comment afterwards. And I just want to thank everybody so much for your commitment to this project, for being here today to celebrate it with us. This is a new era for science at the U, so thank you.